What is going back, everybody? Welcome once again to the sickest live tuning show on the internet. By sickest, I mean I am the sickest guy doing a live stream about tuning on the internet right now. Oh, it has been quite the week. I am doing better today than I've been doing earlier in this week. Yesterday, I couldn't even get out of bed, but we are still here. Nah, it wasn't the COVID. It was some kind of crazy ramped up flu that my sister-in-law spread through our house. But first things first, let's get this out of the way. Happy birthday to Andrew. I know I'm a day early, but our own brother from down under, Andrew George, is turning, I don't know, his birthday's tomorrow. Turning 37, I think. 38 maybe. No, I appreciate it, everybody. I'm feeling a lot better. Hey, Mom, love you. Feeling a lot better, but still a little bit under the weather, as you can tell. But we're not here to talk. 35? You're a baby. Wow. Here, I thought you were closer to my age. Now I feel old. Baby face Andrew. Yeah, I don't feel well. I'll survive. Okay. So, as you can tell, not a lot's gotten done. Even though we did install cold air intake this week, we still consider that not a lot getting done. Because, come on. Exactly. Done more miles than 35. Yeah. Got a lot of parts to go on, though. Just waiting to feel better. Got a lot of emails to catch up. Things like that. But thank you, everybody, for the well wishes. I appreciate it. Let's talk about tuning. You almost wrote a tune, and you're back. Got the Trailblazer S up and running 120 miles. Puked the converter seal. Blah. Thanks, Wallace. Appreciate it, brother. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, Jim, sometimes I wonder why we put ourselves through all of this. Sure thing, Keone. I still owe a lot of other people stickers and shirts and stuff that I need to get shipped out. Shoot, 88 V8 S10. That's a mouthful. Got a new oil air filter, new heat exchangers. They sent me 2 passenger side ones. Brad, you can't win sometimes. Thank you, Tyler. I love the color too. I know. I know. Horsepower, yes. New transmissions in. Not fun in the 90-degree heats. Been there, done that. HPT supporting Tesla yet? Yeah. Not yet. What's the best way to tell if you're out of fuel pump? Fuel pressure. It's always good to have a fuel pressure gauge somewhere, or a fuel pressure sender, that you can monitor your fuel pressure before it gets to the rail to see if your fuel pressure is dropping off. AFRs can be an indication of loss of fuel pump or low flow on the fuel pump. But you could also be running out of injectors. Mom, you want to be my third-party distributor? Brad, you've only got about a month before that thing's faster than my car. I did not see Amelia Hartford C8. Apparently it's making 1,400 horsepower now. I did see whoever it was that ran the 999 or 1000, whatever it was, with the C8. I'll go ahead and put my money where my mouth is right now and say that Amelia Hartford is going to destroy that C8 once again. 2007 TBSS ring gapped LY615 on 93, 88 millimeters. Blah, 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 blah. 14 timing. Soon to do 20 psi. 20 degrees of timing. 120 IATs. It's going to be rowdy, James. Broke my forward shaft. One reverse clutch in my TT Mustang last week on the first pass with M&H drag radios. Those tires. Hey, Wilson, I know as well as anybody about breaking stuff whenever those tires hook. Got the stoichiometric air fuel ratio set to 14.67, blah, blah, blah. EQ ratio commanded 12.5. Yet I'm getting 1433 closed loop. And 1233 during PE. Any ideas? Well, I mean, closed loop, if it's leaning or richening out to 1433, probably is just that the narrowband sensors need adjusted, which would explain also why you're probably about the same enrichment on PE. Any suggestions for a slight surge when coming to a stop or sitting idle on drive? Swiftwind, you need to look at your base idle airflow underneath idle. Make sure that that's close to what it actually wants to be. That way, the only thing that's doing idle control is your timing. If you look at your timing and it's jumping around a whole lot trying to control your idle, it's a good indication that your base idle airflow is off. Tuning to 12 challenge charger. I wish Mopar would just do RPM instead of RPM output shaft speed for shifting. Interesting. That is interesting. $20 PSI on E85. That is a lot of fuel. Hanging in there, Cole. What up, 1DIY? Hey, Jonathan. New subscriber. When will the books be open for tuning? I thought I had a spot left open, but I may be sold out right now. It'll be a while. I've got a lot of tunes going on. I've got a couple of videos on idle stuff. I probably need to do a rehash on some of that stuff and talk specifically more about base idle airflow. But, you know, the basic is that once you get your base idle airflow in, then your timing's going to be doing most of the adjustments to try and hold your idle. If your timing's having to do giant jumps, then your base idle airflow's off. Normally it's low. What would you need to modify on the narrow bands again? If that's your commanded, then that's fine. If your actual AFRs are coming in there, then it's an issue. That's a good question. I think somebody else said that. Oh, okay, those are your commanded AFRs. They're reading rich. You got a modifier in there somewhere. Especially unless you have a scaled. Like TJ says, if you've got it scaled for ethanol and it's assuming 10% ethanol, that would be standard for 10% ethanol. Awesome toys in the yard. Welcome to HP Tuners. Welcome to the live stream. Sorry I'm not in more adventurous mood tonight. Yeah, and you really, for the most part, unless your cam gets really crazy, shouldn't need to mess with your proportional or integral limits. 97 Dodge Ram 5.9 is supposed to be stock file, but it has power enrichment turned off. Even the 98 Jeep Grand Cherokee, which most people use for trucks because it's 93 octanes, has it off too. A lot of truck motors, Jamil, will have it turned off. I think Lowbuck did a video on the Russ K idle setup, but that may be more along the lines if you're running an IAC. Good question, Andrew. And welcome to the channel, man. ProCharge C5 running about 8 to 9 pounds when tuning the map, and you run out map. Does it switch to the map? No, it does not. So, guessing C5, you're probably exceeding the airflow limit of the map. You probably just need to look at doing a speed density tune. Brad, you're correct. The limit is on the CAN bus, not on the MPVI or the MPVI2. So you're not going to be able to run more parameters. Bernard, yes, I did. That's a good looking car. I didn't get much chance to dig into them. I did pull them up and give them a quick glance, though. But as I said, I've been in bed all week, feeling absolutely terrible. We'll need separate credits for the trans to change the speed limiter on Camaro. Nope. It's all on the ECM. A lot of good questions in here tonight, which is good because my brain's not operating properly. Makes it a lot easier whenever I just have questions to answer. Excuse me, I'm going to burp. There we go. Idle video explain more about what PIDs affect idle and how they can be understood. See what needs to be changed. Key indicators for idle issues. Just off reading logs. Okay, I could do something like that, Jonathan. Won't be too bad. It's really easy to overcomplicate, well, everything, but idle in particular. I mean, you're basically, until you get into the fitchins where you have to start worrying about torque, it's all about base idle airflow. Working with the Gen 4 swap, Edicam now idling too rich. Looking for the VE table. What do you mean? Can't see the VE table? Plans for the Z06. Well, we did the cold air intake. Doing a couple other simple mods like the expansion tank for the heat exchangers. I'm going to put some catless, I think they call them down pipes, but it's the header connect pipes. Put some catless connection pipes in there. Oops, sorry. And I'll be installing my wideband on that. We'll be doing a single port water methanol injection with a small jet in there just to control IATs. Then after that, I don't know where we're going to go. We're going to go big boost, though. This will be a 4-digit build whenever it's all said and done. Tuning VVE, do you aim for 1%? Well, virtual volumetric efficiency, you'd be a magician if you could get 1% in most cells. Standard VE, you can get close, but honestly, I look for 0 to 3% rich is what I consider perfect. I just don't like to see any red cells. I like to see everything skewed a little bit to the rich side. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a simple methanol injection setup with utilizing the factory windshield washer pump, or tank, not pump. It'll have a separate pump and all that stuff. I'll be going through that here soon, here in the next week or so. But then, later down the road, we'll probably look at doing a direct port. You're going to need that 416. Shift light on a stick car, you're able to change the parameters to that and make it legitimate shift light for RPM. Not that I know of, Marin. Not that I know of. Well, Tyler, that's one of the things I've been kicking around the ideas if I'm going to go Pro Charger or go to one of those new Magnuson 2650s. It will be progressive, Andrew. Yep. Boost base progressive. Car came tuned without the MAF. I like tuning the MAF. I like the MAF for cruise and stuff like that, but if it doesn't have it, just leave it as is. Used with a busted internal heat exchanger, can I just remove the little radiator, plug the holes, and go water meth? I mean, theoretically, you can, Fuzzy Moto. Rich Point. How's it going? Retard timing, the only thing that would cause headers to glow at highway cruise. That's probably what it's going to be. Check your timing. Make sure you got enough timing. If your headers are glowing short of having a turbo on there backing up the air, it's probably timing. What do we monitor for Gen 4 base airflow E38? So we got them start smooth. Peak power problem is when turning, they should tune the shut off, use 2 wideband EQ air and trims. I mean, I guess I don't know what I'm at, what you're asking there. I mean, you're going to be pulling in your manifold air pressure and your mass airflow frequency, mass airflow sensor frequency, depending on if you're on VE or manifold air or MAF. TH400 swap, what would I tackle in the tune? Jim, what are you putting a TH400 in? Basically, what you want to do is swap the ECM, do a segment swap or do an OS swap with SPS over to a OS that has a manual segment in it. No, I'm not going MAF-based progressive for water methanol. Brad, I'm not doing that. Shane says he's headed that way to Magnuson. Got a 333 pulley. Yeah, that is baby steps. Call me whenever you put that 2.6 on. Let me know how it goes. Thanks, Gutless. 2007 Silverado. I'm falling behind here. E38, L86. After adjusting VVE tables, unnoticed parameters and airflow speed density VE calculations have changed. Nope, that is normal. That is what you're actually changing, is those coefficients. That's what the VVE editor edits. So, totally normal. I don't know that the older stuff would get as mad about you swapping over to or basically removing the TCM. You know, the newer stuff gets mad whenever you pull the TCM out because the ECU wants all that communication. On the older stuff, you may be able to just disable those DTCs and it'll be perfectly fine. I honestly do not know, Jim White. Swap my V6 for a 5.3, 35-inch tires and 323 rear end. And my truck shifts super weird. Well, did you update your gear and tire wizard to make sure that it's reflecting your 35-inch tires and your 323 rear gears? Awesome Toys in the Yard. Appreciate it, brother. Hey, DZ. Tell Hillary I said hi. I can't even say Hillary properly. Nice. Love to hear it, Booger. During wide open throttle, I'm not getting command of spark advance. I'm around 5 degrees short. Probably your IAT's 88. Make sure you add in all of your timing modifiers, and it'll show you exactly if it's engine coolant, IAT, etc. Well, that's why I'm not going to even flirt with the 2300s. Yeah, something like that, Jim. If you can segment swap it, that'd be the easiest way. If you can't, then you need to do an OS reflash. Trims always want to change. Yeah, it's D-White is a base idle airflow issue. All the other idle stuff is based off of that, even to the point of like the throttle cracker and stuff like that. So once you get your base idle airflow dialed in, basically what you want to do is get that thing up to temperature and idling and make the adjustments until your AFRs are where you want them to be, around 14.7. And then look at your calculated airflow, either through the mass airflow sensor, so you know how many pounds per hour that you're running, or look at your dynamic airflow, which is a calculated between volumetric efficiency and mass airflow to see how many pounds per hour, then adjust your base idle airflow up to that value in the cells that you're in. But shift the whole table up at once. I mean, Fuzzy Moto, you can try it. There's no reason not to try it. Chemical intercooling does amazing. Man, 28 degrees doesn't seem crazy on that, Rich. I wouldn't think at 2,800 RPMs at 28 degrees of time and cruising that you would be getting glowing headers. Bought 1,000 cc fuel injectors from the injector clinic because it came with the data. I could import directly into HP tuners. However, assume there's a multiplier going on somewhere because as soon as I input the injector data, figures in the tables change to a different number. They should not be changing very much. You might see something change to the right of the decimal point a little bit, but other than that, they shouldn't be. Double check that you're copying the right data into the right tables. Make sure you're finding the tables that match up with the ones that you have, Greg, because you can also try expanding out the decimal resolution in the editor while you paste them in and see if that helps. Can you explain why you wouldn't do a math-based progression for the meth? I just purchased a 2021 LT1 Camaro. I was looking to pro charge it and add meth. Which meth kit would you use? Well, there's a couple reasons. One of them, I just like doing it by boost. Meth is probably a little bit more straightforward whenever you are running on the mass airflow in the top end and you're making the air. Should be more consistent. But I also found that some of these meth kits that try to pull the math signal out don't do it very well, and they cause all kinds of problems. But I've also found that doing it by boost is very consistent also. I've not had any issues with doing it by boost, you know? And it's so simple. Simple, predictable. So, I don't know. Maybe this would be a good example of something to use a nitrous express signal synchronizer where you could pull that data out without having to splice into the existing math harness to try and get the hertz out of it. I don't know. Hey, Brian. Yeah, as Jim White says, maybe they're just cheap headers. Super thin. What up, Super Slow? What's the Nova status? Nova's doing great. Nova's in storage right now, but Nova's great. Everything's working on the Nova. Knock on wood. Everything's working on the Nova right now. Yes, disable burst knock. Yeah. Yeah, if you had a way of pulling that in better, I don't know. You know, just because I like to do it doesn't mean it's the best way of doing it. I'm not saying that the math is a bad way of doing it. I just like to do mine by boost. It makes more sense to me. And if something were to fail on the mass airflow sensor, it would still work. Whereas, if you're going out there and you're doing rips and your mass airflow sensor dies and you're spraying a lot of methanol, like on the truck or something, suddenly you're going to go really lean and probably blow some rings out. Yeah, exactly. The KISS principle. Keep it simple. If the map sensor fails, the car will not run. I can tell you that much. So, go unplug your map sensor and see how well the car runs. Even if you're a map only. Is burst knock like transitional? It is exactly what it is, Jim White. What it is looking for is, burst knock is the anticipation of knock on a transition. No, I experienced blowing them clean out the pistons. 4 of them. I'm doing a stage 2.5 on this car. Honestly, I kind of wish I would have done the stage 2, but I'm doing the gauge mount behind the stereo that drops down. Yes, it will. You can, listen, you can get rid of the mass airflow sensor. You can never get rid of the map. Even when you're in high speed, it is still referencing the volumetric efficiency table. That's why it's important to tune the volumetric efficiency table. So let me give you an idea here. When you're in high speed, say 80% of your calculations are being done by the mass airflow sensor, 20% are being done by the virtual volumetric efficiency page or table. So if you don't tune the VE table, you're having to correct 20% of that into your math table to offset the bad data in the volumetric efficiency table. You cannot do away with dynamic airflow whenever you have a mass airflow sensor. You can do away with it whenever you go speed density, because we can take the mass airflow sensor out of the equation. You can never take the manifold air pressure sensor out of the equation. Will not work. No way of doing it. So, and that's why you've got to, most times after you go in and tune MAF, you have to go back and tune volumetric efficiency and then go back and tune MAF again, because they are messing with each other. They are all part of the dynamic airflow. Dynamic airflow is the final calculated airflow that fueling is based off of. Yeah, it'd probably go into reduced power mode. But, you know, once again, that's why it's critical to tune volumetric efficiency. It really is. And this is why I say that your VE table doesn't have to be spot on, especially in the high speed areas. In the high speed areas, make the VE table a little bit rich and forget about it, because you're correcting it on the mass airflow side. You should. Yes, you should go back and check your mass airflow again after you finish tuning. It's always good to check everything multiple times. Tune your MAF, tune your VE, go back and check your MAF again, make your adjustments, then you're probably good from that point on. R subtract. It will add or subtract while tuning. Remember, we never tune fuel. We're not tuning for fuel. We are tuning the airflow measurement, which in turn adjusts the fuel delivery. Brian, I've got your name on my list over here. Soon, I promise you. Things just been crazy, but I will get you. I promise you, I always get stuff sent out. Sometimes it just takes me a while, but you will get your shirt. And I think I got the meth injection kit sent out, and hopefully the credit packs went out. I need to follow up with HP Tuners on that, and I need to follow up with HP Tuners on the shirts also. But no, I'll get you. As I say, I'm the worst about that, and I'll be the first one to admit I'm terrible at shipping stuff out. Good question, Grant. Is the IOC supposed to be at 0 when the cars at a certain speed are supposed to increase with speed? No, it should not increase with speed. It should go to a parked set point, which I believe is probably around 30 or 40 counts. Those are in counts. And then when you're at idle, you probably want that thing around 30 or 40 counts at idle. But the idea is that thing should be open to a certain point whenever you're coming off throttle, that it catches the idle before it dips too low and stalls out. So it might increase with speed to a certain point, but it should stop at a certain point also and flatline out at a parked setting. What up, Eric? Did I get my starting problem sorted on the Nova? Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you asked something, Cole. And here's what I did, because we talked about this like a month ago. I went in and lowered cranking timing. It was at 15 degrees. I dropped it down to 10 degrees. It made all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. 5 degrees on cranking. You know, I knew it would make some difference, But it was, as soon as I did that, it started cranking over like another 100 RPMs faster. And now it's not taking nearly as much power, you know, to turn the starter over. It gets everything spinning faster, so it lights off quicker. It made all the difference in the world. So, yeah. Little things in life. Which, you know, 15 degrees would be fine with a 454 or a 350 or something like that. You know, you're not going to have a problem. But whenever you're turning slugs that big over, that's a lot of mass to turn over. Okay, so it is that time, 8:30. Appreciate everybody showing up. Good crowd tonight. We had 60 people on there. Sorry I'm not more energetic. Yeah, I'm just struggling. So, but thank you, everybody, as always, for showing up. Keep your eyes peeled. We've got some content coming out here. I'm going to be testing a couple of consumer electronics that people have sent me from overseas that I thought might be interesting to test out. You guys tell me whenever you see those videos, comment on them, say, hey, this was actually interesting or this was a waste of time. If you find this stuff interesting, I'll keep on doing it. Somebody sent me a battery tester, which, I mean, seems pretty relevant given all the battery and electrical issues I've had lately. So it'll be kind of interesting to see. And, you know, there will be some other stuff like that. Then on top of it, we got a lot of content coming out on the Z06, which is just going to be a lot of general tuning content. You know, we're even though a lot of it's specific, we're going to be looking at general stuff, kind of like we did on the cold air intake. If you haven't seen that video, it posted out today. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. Thanks to everybody for showing up as usual. I'm going to get back to it. You guys know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage. ABT. Always be tuning.